Welcome to my channel. This is Divested Diamonds. You have arrived. In this video, we are going to discuss ancient Blackistani dust. How some of these older generation parents had no business having children, but went ahead and had them anyway, causing a trail of destruction, including poverty and mental anguish for their offspring. Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, is currently an 80-year-old man who has suffered a series of strokes and reportedly has dementia. Now, when you look at his Wikipedia page, the wording, the language, the tone used to describe this man has been sanitized, making him seem as though he were some kind of genius who only ever had his family's best interest at heart. The fact is, that couldn't be further from the truth. This is a man who came from poverty and possibly vowed to himself how he would use whatever opportunity was placed in front of him to make sure he got himself to a better place. While that kind of ambition may not be a bad thing under regular circumstances, his were far from regular. According to his Wikipedia page, Williams was the eldest son of 5 children and the only son of Julia May Metcalf and Richard Dove Williams Sr. of Shreveport, Louisiana. After graduating from high school, he moved to Michigan and then later to California. This man was on a mission. It's like I've said before, Black men are always looking out for themselves, and they don't care who it is that they step on to get to where they want to go. Williams took tennis lessons from a man known as Old Whiskey and decided his future daughters would be tennis professionals after seeing a woman named Virginia Ruzici playing on television. One might say that Serena and Venus had no choice in cultivating a career path of their choosing. Richard Williams' passion for the sport meant that he would put his own interest above his daughters, training his girls relentlessly, turning them into something he could never be, while living vicariously through them. After moving to California, he met Betty Johnson. They got married in 1965 and had 5 children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. Williams and Johnson are said to have divorced in 1973. Nothing on this website, at least, is mentioned on what happened to that marriage. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a simplified, sanitized version solely focusing on building this man as some sort of legend, a phoenix that rose from the ashes, made something of himself through his children, and the rest, as they say, is history. The next thing mentioned is that in 1979, he met a woman named Oracene Brandy Price, who had 3 daughters from a previous relationship. They married in 1980 and had 2 daughters, Venus, born on June 17th of 1980, and Serena, born on September 26th, 1981. So, what happened to his first family? Why would he leave a woman with 5 children only to end up with another woman who already had 3 children from a previous relationship? Now, as if that wasn't enough, he proceeded to have 2 more children with that woman. Well, It's been echoed several times in this space how a lot of these men who are severely broken themselves insist on reproducing in large numbers and don't really care about the consequences of their actions because they don't feel like they have to be responsible for these children that they help bring into this world. They don't feel responsible for taking care of their offspring. They go around blaming everyone else but themselves for their issues, knowing absolutely well that the majority of those issues are caused by them. They fancy themselves as something higher than what they really are by bulldozing their way through these relationships, placing themselves on a pedestal, calling themselves kings, even though they have no throne nor a kingdom to be in charge of. Let it be known that this man is on his third marriage, and that has recently turned into a circus and a shit show. But we'll get to that in a moment. Remember his family where he had 5 children? Well, one of his daughters from that marriage spoke up, and let me tell you, she had a lot to say. On November 24th of 2021, Serena Williams, the half-sister of Serena and Venus, slammed the Hollywood biopic King Richard, saying he was only a king in his head. She and her 4 siblings were abandoned by Richard Williams when he allegedly left their home to go out and buy her a bike and never returned. A few years later, he went on to marry Venus and Serena's mother, Oracene Price. In an exclusive interview with The Sun UK, Serena said, in regards to the film, which stars Will Smith as Williams, you know, the same movie that he won an Oscar for, a few moments after bitch-slapping Chris Rock, she said, "I think the title is over the top. He thinks he's the king of the world, but no one that's ever been around him thinks he's King Richard. It's an outrageous title, but if truth be told, it fits him. He's not the king of the world. If you look at him psychologically, it's something he's never achieved apart from in his head. He's lived only through 2 daughters, forsaking all his other children. Truth be told, those girls rose to the top while his other children had to suffer. Because of the choices my dad made, we were raised in poverty after he left. He chose tennis for them, as he knew it would make him a millionaire." Serena also said that since he walked out on her and her siblings, she has seen her father just a handful of times. She mentioned how it's unlikely she'll see her dad again and won't be going to his funeral. Listen, you reap what you sow. Many black men have done this to their children, but they'll also swear up and down how they are great fathers and take care of their children. They run around asking for forgiveness, usually when they are on death's door. They don't give a damn about the depth of the pain that they have caused over the years to their own children. And perhaps this man's wife is his karma. I just hope that Serena and Venus aren't paying for this man's nonsense. They missed out on a childhood because he had already forged a plan on how he was going to use them to make money. They were not allowed to be kids because this vision of his was more important than their well-being. Even as adults, his unscrupulous ways can't stop embarrassing them. The fact that he is linked to them biologically and in name is unfortunate because his recklessness keeps bringing them shame. But of course, they would never admit to that because they are disciplined not to utter negativity towards the man that they believe made them who they are. So, after going back and forth in the media and being accused of stealing Social Security checks by her estranged husband, Lakeisha Williams, Venus and Serena's 43-year-old stepmother, is now trying to stop the divorce, which was filed by Richard Williams himself back in 2017. Lakeisha claims she and her supposedly estranged husband are enjoying a sizzling sex life. Ew. The visual made me throw up in my mouth. You know, some of these women will sleep with damn near anything. Can you imagine that breathing heavily on top of you? I can't. But I digress. She believes that they have reconciled and have engaged in an active marital life, including having regular weekly sexual relations. Lakeisha has asked a judge in Palm Beach, Florida, to stop the divorce, saying she does not believe her marriage is irretrievably broken. So Richard Williams married this woman, his third wife, who is 37 years younger than him, in 2009. 7 years after he divorced Venus and Serena's mother, Oracene Price. They have a son together whose name is Dylan, and he is 9 years old. Lakeisha, who is just 1 year older than Venus, claims that the couple have been back together since August of 2019. And since then, there has been no mediation and no real activity in the divorce proceedings. She also added they are raising their son together. The case is not ready for final hearing, and during the period of dormancy, the parties have been raising their son, whose needs have drastically changed since the filing of this matter in 2017, when the child was only 5 years old. The divorce was due to be finalized on January 12th, but the judge said that it's not ready and has now set a decision date in June. According to the paperwork, the parties have not complied with any of the requirements, including but not limited to not attending pretrial mediation or any mediation of any kind, he wrote. The parties failed to comply with time requirements for designation of witnesses or exhibits. This situation is a ghetto-ass mess. And this must be so embarrassing to the sisters. Venus and Serena are always out here minding their own business. And here comes this nonsense, right? This whole situation speaks to the arrogance, the ignorance of Black male ancient dust. This man seriously thought that he could get a young woman like her and not suffer the consequences? She clearly married this man for money, clout, and proximity to the Williams sisters, because she certainly didn't marry him for his looks. I mean, sorry, not sorry, but this man is extremely unfortunate looking. He doesn't have any appealing qualities about him at all. In all fairness, though, I'll give him this. He makes a very good pimp. Listen, he hustled his way to the top by using his children in his money-making scheme. And it worked. Unfortunately for him, he took his sexual deviancy to the next level when he married this young woman, the same woman who tried to fleece him for all his worth. Black girls and women cannot catch a break. Black men will always find a way to turn them into mules. All that work he did turning his daughters into farm animals in order to fulfill his dreams? It only took one woman to bring it all crumbling down. Thank goodness his daughters are older and hopefully protected from this nonsense. When Richard married Lakeisha, she moved into his Palm Beach, Florida home, the same home that he had purchased back in 1995, the one that he used as a training camp for his daughters. It wasn't long before Lakeisha, allegedly, started forging his signature and putting the property solely in her name. That property has now fallen into foreclosure, with the owners owing $544,000 on it. The property, which was purchased at $355,000 back in 1995, is now worth an estimated $1.2 million. The Miami Herald reported last month that the exterior has all but fallen apart, and the whole place is in disrepair with tall grass surrounding the tennis court. So, despite Lakeisha's efforts in trying to allegedly steal this property from her husband, the place remains abandoned, the Herald said. Even though she's going out of her way to stop the divorce, she still insists her husband cover attorney's fees. The attorney wrote, "The wife has a need for the husband to pay these fees, as he has a superior ability to pay from the regular and steady reimbursement of his expenses by his famous and very rich daughters, Serena and Venus." Clearly, this man is not good with money and appears to have mishandled his finances over the years. The sad thing about this story is that this woman is trying to get rich at the expense of the sisters. And just when you think that things couldn't get worse, right? When Richard Williams filed for divorce back in 2017, he accused his wife of not only stealing his Social Security checks, she had allegedly transferred ownership of their cars. She was accused of alcoholism and further stated that his wife had left him for someone else. This alleged new person, who had serious criminal felony charges pending at the time, imposed a danger to their minor child. The document read, Lakeisha also accused Richard Williams of driving through poor neighborhoods with her, saying he always liked to take me to neighborhoods where, there was black women because he likes women. And lastly, when Richard Williams divorced Oracene Price, Venus and Serena's mother, in 2002, there was a police report with allegations of domestic abuse which popped up in Florida. Oracene suffered 3 broken ribs, but Richard was never charged criminally in connection with the alleged crimes. In 2011, Venus and Serena refused to cooperate with the maker of a documentary about their lives when they realized it portrayed Richard as a controlling presence who had a number of extramarital affairs. Protect Dad until the end. This is so tragic for Serena and Venus. It's not surprising though, because we have seen this type of behavior over the years, especially from the older generation. It still happens today where failed parents who are way in over their heads in parenting don't have the ability or means to take care of their kids. So they use their children as breadwinners for the rest of the family. Back in the day, there was a similar situation with the Jacksons. And while people like to make excuses for parents who exhibit this type of behavior, no one thinks about the children and how having such a burden of responsibility affects them later in life. Children are not supposed to take care of their parents. It's the other way around. And if you can't take care of your kids, perhaps you should keep your breeding to a minimum. And don't get me wrong, There is absolutely no harm in encouraging your talented child to cultivate their gift further. But as a parent, you need to have your own resources. You need to establish your own income and not have to rely on your kids to take care of you. It's absolutely disgusting, it's borderline predatory, and absolutely diabolical to turn your child into a meal ticket simply because you suck at being a parent. Richard Williams is a selfish man who only cared about his bottom line. He found a way to live vicariously through Venus and Serena while abandoning his other kids. He is just another black man who saw an opportunity in child labor and took matters into his own hands. So, what are your thoughts on what's been mentioned in this video? Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, ladies, we have to keep putting the truth out there in order to save future generations from that kind of emotional neglect and child abuse. Thank you so much for watching. This is Divested Diamonds, and I'll see you next time. Bye, diamonds.